if you're not going to be the guy and you figure it out pretty early on in spring football and you're talented, much like they have in that quarterback room at Ohio State with not one but 2 5-stars, for those of you on podcasts, go check out the YouTube to find out what I just did there. You're probably looking for greener pastures because you can play just about anywhere else in the country. And again, I'm not implying that I know anything about what Devin Brown and Kyle McCord want to do in terms of what they would do at Ohio State. You could also make the argument it's better to just wait your turn at a place like Ohio State. But what is this transfer portal QB market going to look like? Because remember now, we got a window post-spring, about 2 weeks from May 1st to May 15th, where you can jump in the portal if you don't like where you're at during spring practice. In the quarterback position, I believe there could be a lot of high-profile kind of players that it would make sense if they jumped into the portal. And again, I'm not implying anything. This is not an intel segment. I'm just using logic here. Look at the quarterback battles that we've got going on. You got Ohio State between Devin Brown and Kyle McCord, 2 5-stars. If one of them's not playing, maybe they look for somewhere. At Georgia, you got 3 guys that can all deal the pill like a rogue pharmacist. Carson Beck, former 4-star. Brock Vandagriff, former 5-star. Gunnar Stockton, former 4-star. At worst, maybe a 4-star jumps off the board there for you. If one of those guys decides, hey, too many cooks in the kitchen, I got to play today, Junior. Like, that could be a situation you could sell me on. At Ole Miss, Jackson Dart or Spencer Sanders. I'm not wowed by any of those guys. I don't know if any of those guys are going to win you a conference title, depending on your conference, but at the very least, guys with starting experience in the toughest conferences in college football. Spencer Sanders in the Big 12 conference still did a lot of good things, played in the Big 12 title game. He's got some skins on the wall. Bottom line, both those cats can probably help your team. Alabama, Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, the 2 guys that you're probably looking at most closely. Former 4-star and 5-star respectively. There's going to be somebody, I would imagine, from these groups that test the transfer portal waters. So how do we assess this? I got some thoughts on it. But if you're not subscribed, would love to have you a part of this. Like I said, we're live right now, but we are live not once but twice a week, baby. 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're on podcast, we love you. We salute you. We appreciate y'all. If you're on YouTube, we love you as well. But make sure you're locked in so you don't miss anything. All right. Also, follow me Instagram, Twitter, at JD Piquel. Appreciate y'all for that. Like the video if you're watching right now as well. Okay, where were we? Transfer portal market. It's going to look like a high-profile Publix. But with supply decreasing, demand increasing, value goes up, up, up. A little Econ 101. But why is this important? If you get through spring practice, let's say you're in Auburn, for example, and you're like, hey, man, Robbie Ashford ain't it, Holden Garner ain't it, TJ Finley ain't it. We got to figure something out, man. I don't know what the waiver situation is like if you're in the SEC, but somebody could be available for you, and that would change the entirety of what you can do in the 2023 season. Now, what do we make sure we got to talk about within this, though? There's some risk involved. There's some risk involved because you take the entire spring period, trash that, and say, okay, new QB1, new game plan, dry erase the whiteboard. We got to figure this out. Quarterback, you got to learn our system. Receivers, offensive line, you got to mesh to that new quarterback. We got to get the timing right. It's sort of like trashing plan A and going to plan B. Now, how many of you know plan B sometimes is just ultimately better than plan A? That's why you went to plan B, because it's going to work instead of plan A not working. You feel what I'm saying? But there's some risk involved in that. You're gambling quite a bit on what this quarterback could be. But something we got to pay attention to, there's a 45-day transfer portal window when the portal first opens up after the season. There is only a 14-day window post-spring, May 1st to May 15th. So what does that mean? It means these guys are going to make a decision probably pretty quickly and they're going to jump in the portal. So if you're a staff, you got to have your evaluations down pat and kind of try and read the tea leaves a little bit here. The other piece of this is the relational component is going to be emphasized. So if I'm a quarterback and I got recruited by the OC at school A and I decide I want to jump in the transfer portal, I am more likely to have a conversation with the OC at school A because we have a relationship, as opposed to school B that comes and tries to recruit me, but I've never talked to them before in my life. There's some familiarity there. I know what I'm getting into. We're already halfway down that road from when I was recruited out of high school. So just keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on previous relationships because that's going to play a factor. Especially if you're a quarterback, you're not going to want to wait around in the portal. Same thing with high school recruiting. Who are the first players off the board when it comes to the high school level? Quarterbacks. They're making decisions first. They're the ones jumping into their signing class, or I guess committing rather, and trying to recruit the rest of their guys. For the quarterback position, you're just trying to get comfortable, trying to know where you're going, start learning your coaching staff, learning your system, all that. That's going to be what this transfer portal market looks like. Again, it can change the entire fortune of your team. It can change the entire 23 outlook for you. If you land a Devin Brown, or you land a Kyle McCord, or you land a Brock Vandergriff, again, I'm just throwing out those names just because they're high-profile, five-star kind of players. You land one of those, your outlook looks different. Last thing I'll say on this, typically we've seen these high-profile kind of quarterbacks post-spring transfer out and go to like a group of 5 school or a lower-level school. I don't think that's the case with this new portal window. I think you'll see guys transfer and go to high-profile destinations just because that's the flexibility you have now as a staff. Now everybody's on the same page. Both players and coaching staffs alike understand the portal is something they can anticipate. We don't like what we got during the spring, we can address that via the portal. If I'm a quarterback, I don't like my situation during the spring, I can jump in somewhere else after spring practice. So keep an eye on this. The transfer portal market, a lot of high-profile battles going on. Curious to see if it lends itself to some high-profile names and their locations. I don't know anything. It's not an intel segment, again, just so we're all on the same page, but something to keep an eye on nonetheless. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.